comes, back again. Raping the river. As you can see, there's plenty of weed coming down. The level will drop and the river will be ruined for another year. Not paying much attention to me. Well, as you can see, the weed cutting has actually started. Clods like this will be making their way downstream all day. It's bad enough that they do this and kill just about everything in its wake with the weed cutting machine. When I look further downstream, the level is lower this year than I've ever seen it, and after they've cut the weed all the way along, which they will obviously do, they do it every year, the level will be lower than you've ever seen it, which can't be healthy for anything. Here comes another load of it, and this will be coming through all day as they cut above Canterbury. They'll cut below over the next 2 weeks. They'll be cutting all of the time. Basically, what that means is all the food items such as invertebrates and that grow in the weed, fish fry, and even fish will be destroyed by the weed cutter. Loads of habitat gone. And they say it's for flood defence. The level is not high, the level is lower than I've ever known it, so it's not necessary. Well, this is a feeder stream about 200 yards above the confluence to the main river. Essential part of the river, these back streams and feeder streams, for the spawning of fish. Come spring, firstly pike, then chub, barbel will all hopefully come up here to spawn, but as you can see there's not a lot of water here. Every time it rains, the water is run off as soon as it hits the river. The gates are wide open constantly and they just run the water off. And the weed cutting, all the weed, there's very little weed here because it was all cut by a mechanical weed cutter, basically destroying spawning gravel, spawning beds for fish. It's getting a bit worrying now because next spring there's probably going to be no water left for them to spawn in properly. I mean, the water here is just a matter of a few inches deep now. I've never ever seen it this shallow. And a lot of this is to be done with the lowering of the levels by the cutting of the weed. And also just the running off the water as soon as it hits the river. It's just crazy. It doesn't need it. The river is well below its proper level. I mean, it's feet lower than it should be. What you're seeing is just how to destroy the ecosystem, really. Just kill off any chance that fish have of spawning. With the weed cutting, the natural food for fish and other animals is just taken away, and ultimately you're left with nothing.
At the end at the moment.
What, is there weed cutting boat up there?
No, they've got their big long lake, and like that's where she has her babies. At the moment she's down there trying to get bits together.
So the moor hen has been basically unhomed?
Yeah. Yeah, she's had to try and she's right over there at the moment trying to get like weed and grass and that, fishes, trying to get rigging to make a new nest.
She was a nesting moor hen then? She was nesting?
Yeah.
You've been keeping an eye on her then?
Yeah. Her mum, her babies, her two babies were up there on Monday, and we haven't seen them lately. Since
they've opened this up and let the weed through?
Yeah. Since then we haven't seen the babies. I don't know where they are.
You look at the mess, that is all the weed, all the remaining weed that getting cut away. Give it a couple of days and this river will be so pathetically low. Pitiful, that's what it is, pitiful. Off it goes, weed everywhere, cut. No respect for the environment whatsoever. How they can call themselves the Environment Agency is absolutely beyond me.